Every week, we drop the noise,
drop the stress,
and drop some knowledge.
Welcome to The Drop-In, the college admissions podcast by Decision Drop. If you would like to learn more about our services or have Josh and I help you and your family through this process, please head on over to decisiondrop.com and check us out.
I'm Josh.
I'm Lisa. Let's go.
Lisa, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm sorry. I just love when I'm like, let's go, and I look into the camera. It's my favorite part about this whole podcast.
Hey, listen, whatever motivates you or allows you to kind of get going, I think that's a good idea. And you know where else is going?
Yes.
England. They're going home. Well, actually, they're not going home. They're going to the third place game. So
they are
just
in
finished
Miami.
Watching it.
They're going to Miami. They're coming to my home state.
So just finished watching an exciting game, I guess, if you're an Argentina fan. Not so much exciting if you're a fan of England, the match there. I genuinely thought that England was going to win. We were talking before we started recording. Genuinely thought the stars had aligned for England to ascend to the World Cup final.
I know. I felt it too. After goal one of England, I was like, this doesn't feel right. It feels like Argentina's going to come back. And sure enough, they did.
You know what it reminded me of? We're about the same age. So do you remember those old school slasher movies like in the 80s where you thought like the people who survived thought that they initially defeated the villain, like they knocked him down or whatever, and then they turned around with a sigh of relief, and everyone in the audience is like, turn around. And then of course the things I did, I feel like that's Argentina in this World Cup. Like they were down 2-0 in the match before that, and they came back to win 3-2. And even when England was up 1-0, it just felt like that England hadn't quite killed the villain just yet. They turned around and sighed, maybe had some tea and biscuits and stuff like that, and Argentina got right back up and then got them in the end because they broke the rule of the 80s slasher movie.
It's true.
They gave up too soon. They thought that they had it in the bag.
I know. I would like to say on my FIFA bracket, I have Spain winning, and I've had Spain winning. Even though Korea is my team, I have Spain winning. So we'll see. And I get BTS in the halftime show. Like this, I feel like I'm winning out of everyone.
Is it in the halftime show?
Yes. I mean, I think they're one of like 10 or 11 acts, but yeah, they are.
Wow. Well, I guess they got Bieber. They got a lot of people out there. What's going on with it? They keep adding people.
I know. Hopefully this isn't just like clickbait. Like BTS will sing a song, but we'll see. But yeah.
Well, I think everyone's pretty much rooting for Spain in this one.
Spain. Well, I know the House of Clay says.
We shall see. Maybe Spain has learned their lesson, right? So they now know that, hey, you can't turn your back on Argentina. You have to make sure they're fully dead, dusted, finished before you start celebrating.
100%. Here goes. Let's see.
That's right. But this isn't a football podcast, so we will actually get back to our regularly scheduled programming. Lisa, episode 5. We're 5 in now. So last week, we talked about the personal statement, also known as the college essay, 650 words. And this week,
we're going to stay on the essays, but we're going to zoom in on something that students, I think, consistently underestimate.
Yep. The supplemental essays.
The supplemental essays. Dun, dun, dun. See, I'm making my own sound effects right now.
We have to get sound effects.
I know. We will. But right now, dun, dun, dun. I think with the supplemental essays, it's the ones that colleges, they bury in their application portal, or it's that 250-word one that students sometimes think, oh, you know what? I'm going to look at it on a Friday night. I'm going to think about it. And then I have the whole weekend, and then I'll get to it on Sunday.
Yep. And then Sunday morning becomes Sunday afternoon, and then Sunday afternoon becomes Sunday around dinner time, and then Sunday after dinner time becomes Sunday night. And that's when the panic sets in. And that's when, Lisa, in our experience, that's the time when very questionable essays get written at a speed and a frequency that actually doesn't produce anything that is really good, let alone something that is going to resonate with a college admissions officer.
True. And when you think about it, exactly how a student can tank an otherwise strong application, right? Because here's the thing, supplemental essays, they aren't a formality. They are a school talking directly to you, asking you specific things about them, about you, and about how the two of you belong together.
Yes, Lisa. So the supplemental essays, they are short, but short doesn't mean simple. Short means that every single word has a job to do.
Every single word, 100%.
Yeah, and so today we're going to spend some time talking about the most common types of supplemental essays, what colleges are actually looking for in each one, and some advice on how to write them in a way that we feel actually works.
I love it. Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to start with the most common supplemental essay
Mm.
question, and also the one that trips students up the most, the dreaded "Why us" essay.
Oh, the why us essay, Joshua. I think that this is the one that could do so much work for you, but yet students waste it all the time. So, this is what I like to say. When a student sees that this essay is on their application, before they put pen to paper, think about anything else, I always tell them you need to go and read the mission statement. So, before you talk about a campus tour or you go to their Instagram account, look at their TikTok, before you start writing about that pretty library, go to the mission statement.
Yeah, that's pretty important. Let's repeat that one more time.
Read the mission statement before you do anything else, before you write a single word. Because the mission statement, here's the secret, it tells you exactly the kind of student the school is looking for. Because it tells you their priorities, it tells you what they believe their education is for. And if you can connect yourself authentically, there's that word again, to that mission statement, you are already ahead of 90% of the students who literally just sat down to Google cool things about said university or campus X.
Yeah, exactly. Because really, what the "Why us" essay is really asking students is, why do you and the school belong together? It's not just, hey, why do you like us? But they're asking students to think about, why does this specific version of you fit into this specific community?
Right. And we cannot stress this enough. Do not write a why us essay that can be copied and pasted into any other school's application. I promise you, and Josh and I can both agree to this because we were on the other side, admissions officers have read thousands of these, and they know immediately when a student swapped out a school name and called it a day.
Yeah, I've read some of these essays, and you can certainly tell right away. Sometimes because the kid actually forgets to change the name of the school, but that's a whole other podcast topic that we'll
Yeah.
discuss later.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing specific in those kinds of responses. Nothing that could only be written by that student about that specific school. It's very generic.
Right. You're probably wondering, what does a strong why essay actually do? Well, think about it this way. It actually helps the college picture you there. Not because you told them how beautiful the campus is or that professor was amazing, but you showed them exactly how you would plug into their community as soon as you get to school. So here's the question I want every student to ask. What kind of student am I going to be on this campus? How will I participate? How will I contribute? And when I leave, will this community be better because I was a part of it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's and a very good example because colleges aren't just admitting students. They're trying to build a community. They want to know that you're going to show up, contribute, connect, and add something real to the campus fabric. So
Right.
we want you guys to show them that.
True. So I think we should talk specifics for a second, right?
Okay, we can get
Okay.
specific.
Okay.
Okay, so for me, please don't, and I'm going to repeat it one more time. Please don't write a "Why Us" essay where you list the professor's name, a student club, a study abroad program, and then just call it a day. That's not a "Why Us" essay. That's just a Google search with a word count. So admissions officers, they can tell when a student is submitting something and their research is that they basically just went and scraped the school's website to look for a few things to sprinkle in without connecting any of those things to who the student actually is.
Right. And yes, I'm going to bring back the show don't tell from last week. I know, shocker, my favorite words. But this applies here for the supplemental essays. Don't tell me that you want to attend this university because it has a strong program with a diverse student body. That could be written about almost any school. Show me your curiosity that led you there. Tell me about the research you've been doing and the problems that you cannot stop thinking about at night before you go to sleep, or the book that changed your life, or the project that you started building before anybody else told you to do it. Those are the connections. And then once you have those connections, connect that to the school. So what specific class, what professor, what lab, what program, what organization, what opportunity in the community is going to help you take that curiosity further? That is where the essay needs to start to feel real.
And that's the difference, Lisa, between listing and connecting. And connecting is what this short answer question should do.
Great. Okay, so let's give an example. How about Texas A&M? I will go back to my recruiting days. So Texas A&M has an incredibly distinct culture, one that is
Very
genuinely
distinct.
unlike any other university in the country. Love it or hate it, it is what it is. It's very A&M. So the Aggie network and the traditions and the core cadets and the commitment to service and community, if you're applying to Texas A&M and your why did you choose to apply to Texas A&M essay could have, written about any other big public school in Texas. I will not name names, even though it's kind of
Which
right over
school
my
could you be
shoulder.
talking
I
about,
don't
Lisa?
know, maybe my alma mater. But when you think about it, if you can connect it to any other large institution in Texas or anywhere else, then you have not done the work, because A&M isn't just a school. It's a community with a very specific identity. And if you understand that, then you're genuinely going to be a part of that community. So what does it mean that you want to be there? What are you going to bring to Aggieland specifically?
Another example for schools like Georgetown,
Mm.
which is very different
Mhm.
than Texas A&M, but
Yep, very.
also has a very specific mission that's rooted in things like service and social justice and global engagement. So taking the time to read their mission statement, which you talked about earlier, is super important, because Georgetown is going to ask in one way or another whether you understand what they stand for. And if your essay doesn't reflect that understanding in some way, it's going to feel tone deaf no matter how well the essay is written.
Right. Okay, so we have the YS. So now I think we should move on to the second big supplemental. We are seeing lots of schools that are asking this. One particular that I know that we work with a lot is the University of Florida. So they specifically ask students to describe a meaningful extracurricular activity and then explain why it's important to you, the student.
Yeah. And then, but the immediate instinct again is for students to summarize, to narrate, to basically just sort of restate their activities list or their resume.
Right, which is something that you should not do.
Definitely, you should not do that. So there is an activities list and activities section on the Common App where you will put your activities and it will already tell them what you did. This prompt that we're talking about is asking you why what you did matters. What did it do to you? What did it reveal about you? How did it change the way you see yourself, other people? How did it change your perspective of the world?
So this is where, again, shocker, show don't tell shows up. So do not tell us that you're a leader because you have captain next to soccer on the activity list. Show us what leadership actually looked like when nobody was watching. Tell us about a hard decision that you had to make or that teammate that needed to help you. The moment when speaking up was easier than listening. Tell us something that we would never just get from reading your resume. That is what actually shows that you're a leader, not that just tells us that you're a leader.
Yeah, exactly. And also connect it forward. So what do the activities that you've been involved in tell the college about the kind of student and community member that you're going to be on their campus? Because they're not just inquiring about your past, like the things you've done. They're trying to also kind of gauge or predict, your future. Who are you going to be on campus? What kind of citizen you're going to be? So
Right.
setting that part aside, we're going to talk a little bit about the perspective essay because this one's also pretty interesting. The prompt for the perspective essay usually sounds something like, describe a time you interacted with someone who had a different viewpoint than your own. What did you learn from that experience?
I'm going to be honest, this is genuinely one of my favorite ones for students to write. It's the most revealing when they do, and it's actually the most revealing when they don't do it well.
What are they actually asking in this essay?
Great question, Josh. When you think about it, they're asking, are you curious about people who are different from you, that look different, that are different? Are you someone who can sit in discomfort? Because most people can't, let's be honest. Even most adults can't do that, nor do they want to. Are you an active listener? Have you grown from this experience? The whole question underneath that question is, are you going to be a positive presence in a diverse community?
I totally agree with that. And the trap that students fall into a lot of times is they pick what they think is a safe, very non-specific example. Something like how they learned about history from their grandfather, or going in the other direction and turning it into a story about how they were right and the other person was wrong.
Neither of those really work, if you think about it. The essay isn't asking you to win. It's asking you to grow. Show me the moment your thinking actually shifted, or show me the thing that you walked away with believing you didn't believe before you got there. That's the whole essay. Hard stop.
And for students, don't be afraid to pick an example that's uncomfortable, kind of going back to, Lisa, what you talked about just a couple of minutes ago. Admissions officers, they're not looking for students who only interact with people who already agree with them. They're looking for students who can genuinely engage with difference and come out more curious, not more defensive.
100%. Okay, so we've already talked about three or so, right? Here's another one, the why this major essay.
Yes.
And I think this one's especially important at schools that are fit to major. So they admit by the major. There are a ton of schools that don't do this, but there are also a ton of schools that do have this question. So if you're applying directly to a specific program, that essay is going to do a lot of heavy lifting in your application.
Yeah. And in my opinion, the version of that particular why this major essay that doesn't work sounds a little bit like, I've always been passionate about biology. I want to be a doctor and I want to help people.
Oh my gosh, Josh. If I can have a penny for as many times as I've read that, I would be a gazillionaire.
That'd be great. And then we could afford some sound effects for this podcast. So maybe you should start collecting those pennies.
I will. I'll start now. Okay, so let's now break it down to why this major essay, what it actually needs to do. Because I think this is a great part of our podcast where we're talking about our supplementals and then we're giving you action items. So why this major? It needs to show evidence that your interest in that specific subject exists actually outside the classroom. What have you explored on your own? What have you built? Going back to what have you read? What have you researched? What have you created? What have you experimented with? Not because a teacher assigned it to you, but because you were genuinely curious about it. This is a growth mindset, but they want to see what you are doing on your own. That genuine love for learning, that's really what they're looking for.
Yeah, it's really key. Hitting on some of the key words that you just mentioned, genuine curiosity, self-directed learning, the thing that the student did because you just could not do it. Yeah, and yes, I do know that I just use a double negative.
I know, proud of you. Because here's the thing, this is the part that students sometimes miss. They connect it all to a specific opportunity that school offers, but sometimes they might overconnect it, if that makes sense. So let's take an example. Okay, now I'm going to use UT Austin. Don't just say that you're excited about a highly ranked program or a name dropper professor. Right? So show them why that specific program at UT makes sense. Right? Going back to showing your growth mindset. Is it going to continue with the work that you're already doing? So how does your curiosity continue there? How will UT give you a place where you can explore it more deeply? That is true whether you are interested in the Moody College of Communication, which is given very important people degrees. Me, I'm the important person. Or let's say the Cockrell School of Engineering. UT already knows what they offer. Basically, what are you going to do with the opportunities? Don't just say the names of the programs. Give them what you're going to do. And what are you going to bring to the program? Show them the thread that's connecting what you already have been exploring to what you hope to do next at that school.
And for those students who genuinely don't know what they want to major in, which is completely fine and totally normal and a lot more common than most people think, the why this major essay can actually become more of a why this direction essay. So you don't have to have it all figured out, but you do have to show that your curiosity is real and that you've already been following it somewhere. So it could be, instead of a specific major, it could be a specific field or something along those lines if you don't know specifically what your major is.
True, because think about it. What have you been interested in lately? Or again, I go back to reading because we all need to be reading more. But what have you read or what have you watched or what have you explored that wasn't assigned? What have you wondered about? That's the starting point. And then that shows the school the curiosity that connects you to them. And then in terms of flexibility or exploration, what can you do there? And still do not regurgitate your activity list. It's still important. We're going to circle back to that. Reveal something about you that isn't necessarily obvious from your transcript, because this essay, like every other supplemental essay, is a chance to show the dimension of yourself that hasn't shown up anywhere else in the application.
Exactly. And to kind of put like a through line through all the supplemental essays, I'm going to borrow your favorite catchphrase here, Lisa. Yes, it is the show don't tell principle applies just as much here as it did in the personal statement. So these essays, they may be short and there's no way to really to hide, but if you're performing, it shows. If you're genuine, that shows too.
Right. The one that works is where a student sounds like a specific human being with a specific perspective writing about a specific school. That's the formula. Specific human being writing about a specific perspective about a specific school.
That's a lot of specifics. Okay, so before we get to our hot take segment, I want to spend just a minute on something that we haven't yet touched on. Honestly, something that I think is the sneakiest challenge in the entire supplemental essay process. Those super short supplements.
Oh, yes. Those super short supplements.
Yes, so students and parents were talking about the ones that are 50 words, sometimes less than that. The ones that look so small that, you might even scroll past them a little bit without noticing them before you try to turn the comment up and it says you're missing something.
And then when you try to sit down to write them, that's when you realize they actually might be the hardest thing on the entire application.
So Wake Forest is actually one of the best examples of these types of super short supplemental questions. They're consistently one of the top supplemental essay experiences in the country. They ask questions that are genuinely thoughtful, genuinely specific, and really short. So things like, what moves you? Or the what is your top 10 list? I was working with a kid just the other day, and the what is your top 10 list floored them. Like, top 10 of what? It's what is your top 10 list? Like, just that open sort of, lack of direction there. Sort of, the kid had a brain freeze. And you have to do that in a very limited word count, so you don't even get to explain it fully.
It's, again, your perspective. You get to be creative. You get to do whatever you want. One of my favorites is a student whose last name was Wood. And so for their top 10 list, it was their favorite kinds of wood. And I was like, I love that. Like last year, it was the favorite quotes from The Office, but they were like the obscure ones, which I also appreciate. Because I think if students, when they sit down and think about it, they're like, oh, it's just 50 words. I got this. But then, like you said, they just stare at a blank box for 45 minutes and don't know what to do.
It could definitely cause some brain freeze there. Because here's the thing about those super short supplements. You don't have any room to warm up. There's no opening lines, and you don't have time to set the scene or to build context or to kind of ease into the point gradually. You have to land it immediately. So the very first word has to be doing something. Every sentence has to carry weight, and there isn't space for you to kind of gently roll into your topic.
Because, again, the show don't tell principle is even more important here. Because like Josh said, every single sentence, you have to not have a vague opener. You have to trust that the reader is going to meet you where you start and start somewhere real.
Exactly. Yeah. And so my advice when I'm working with students for super short supplements is to write them alone first. Like, don't worry about the word count initially. Give yourself 200 words, 250 words, 300 words. Get everything that you want to say out. And then when that's done, then we start the cutting. Because then what survives that process is usually exactly what the essay needed to be the whole time. So all the fluff, all the extra stuff, that falls away. And what's left is not only what matters, but also a really good supplement.
And then I think after you cut it down, then read it out loud. Because 50 words, if you think about it, one clunky phrase is a quarter of your essay. So it has to sound exactly like you. So clear, specific, real. That's our formula.
And these are important. So these short supplements, they're not throwaways. So at a school like Wake Forest, they're important and they give them a window into the student. Again, the college is trying to get additional context about you. So at a school like Wake, this gives them a window into who this kid is. So these aren't the ones you leave until Sunday night.
Look at you. I like that circle back because I know we've already talked about what happens on a Sunday night.
That's right. See, this could be a point where we could break into like the circle of life. But again, the I'm sure that we probably couldn't get those
songs,
rights.
Man.
I'm just saying, like, we could really spice it up a little bit. But once you become a gazillionaire, though, we could just buy Disney and then we could have all this stuff.
Because I'm not a gazillionaire right now, so we do not have the rights for these songs. Exactly. I don't want to burst your bubble, but I'm just letting you know.
Well, one can only hope and dream. Okay.
One can hope.
But what I'm not dreaming about, Lisa, is that it is our hot take and hard truth segment.
Okay.
So, all right. So my hot take this week is regarding around the Why Us essay. So it is this. The Why Us essay is the single most underestimated essay in the entire application process. So students can treat it like a thank you note when it's actually a little bit of a love letter to the college. Your supplemental essay, your supplemental essay should show that students did the work, that you know the school, that you've thought seriously about why you and this specific school belong together. So just a generic why us essay, it doesn't help you. And in fact, it can actively work against you because it signals to admissions officers that you haven't really thought about whether or not you actually want to be there. And if you haven't thought about it, why should they?
3,000%. Can I also add one little thing? Go back and read every supplemental before you hit submit. Every single time. I know that when I was recruiting for UT Austin, I saw multiple students submit their essay and they ended it with, and that's why I want to go to Texas A&M, and then vice versa. So when I was at Texas A&M, and I was a recruiter, I know I like to complicate my life in the state of Texas. I saw plenty of essays at the end of their A&M essay that ended with hook 'em, which was a really big no-no.
I'm sure that
So,
worked out well for those students.
it sure did. Because if you think about this, it's not because the students weren't trying. It's because they were rushing. So my hot take is slow down. Reread every word. That 30-second check can save you from the most avoidable mistake in the entire process.
Bingo.
Ooh.
Okay, so
Check.
it's drop the mic time, Lisa. And I'm going to keep mentioning sound effects until we get them. Because, again, this will be the perfect time for, like, the little mic drop thing. I think we could actually find one of those that are, like, royalty-free. So we got to look into that.
We will.
All right.
You know what else we could look into? T-shirts that you still have not worn since I got you one.
I'm looking into it. So,
sure.
All right, Lisa, drop the mic. Take us home.
Okay, putting that on my list. All right. Drop the mic. Here is what I want every student to sit with after this episode. Every supplemental essay that a school asks you to write, think of it as a conversation that they want to have with you. They're not giving you busy work. They're not asking you real questions because they genuinely want to know the answer. They're not just having you do something to do something. They don't have time to read everything. This is what I tell students all the time. If a school puts something on their application, then that means they want to know about it. Why would they ask you if they don't want to know? Because that defeats a whole lot of purpose, right? So give them that. Connect yourself to their campus. Not a list of things that you found on their website, but go through actually what you like about it and put yourself in their shoes and tell them what you are actually going to bring to the campus. Show them the student you're going to be in their community. Show them that you're going to show up, that you're going to contribute, that you're going to connect, that you're going to leave their campus better than you found it. That's what makes a supplemental essay work. Not the word count, not the polish, the realness.
That's pretty good.
Thank
All
you.
right, so my final thought for students this week is actually a reminder. Circling back to the top here, go read the mission statement of every school on your list before you write a single supplemental essay. Reading that mission statement will tell you more about what the school is actually looking for than any sort of rankings list, college website, college advice videos you might find on social media. Read the mission statement, then write your essay.
That's it, Josh. And kiddos, that's the work. It's not glamorous. It's not a shortcut, but it absolutely is worth doing.
So again, another drop the mic, like sort of outro kind of thing. We got to work on the transition.
Sure.
Okay. All righty. So next week, apparently they're going to let us back into the studio to keep doing this thing. So next week, we're going to shift gears entirely. So we spent the last 2 weeks now on essays. Next week, we're going to talk about something that causes a different level of concern and stress for students and families.
Oh, yes, we are. We're going to talk about standardized testing, the SAT, ACT, test optional policies, what those policies actually mean, and the question every family is asking. So should the score go on the application? Should it not?
Exactly, because test optional doesn't mean test blind. And that little distinction matters a lot more than most families realize.
Because the answer is not always send it, and it's not always hide it. The answer is it depends, which we know is the most annoying answer that we can give you in this process. But we're going to explain why. And so we're going to definitely go over everything, so you're going to want to tune in next week.
Definitely don't miss it.
Right. So remember, we're Decision Drop, making your college journey collaborative, simple, but most importantly, yours. And if you want to learn more about our services, or you would like Josh and I to help you in this process, please head over to decisiondrop.com and check us out.
Hey guys, thanks for dropping in. We'll see y'all next week.